Enjoy that part of your life. Fashion it and enjoy it. Take an hour, take a couple of hours, take an evening, and go soak up the symphony, soak up the music. And when you do this, with family, with culture, lifestyle, here's what happens. Number one, you can enjoy it. It's a spendable commodity. But here's the most exciting part of all. The feelings you get from here, the coin, the currency, the worth and the value you get from fashioning a happy life, fashioning a conversation with a child, fashioning a love experience. A good marriage is not a marriage that's left to the wind. It must be well woven. A friendship must be well constructed. A cultured life must be well woven, well constructed. A love affair must be well woven. I'm telling you, all of these values that come from lifestyle, and nobody can engage in the art of lifestyle better than Herbalife distributors, Mark Hughes being one of the best. Better to live in a tent on the beach, being loved, than to live in a mansion by yourself. But now here's the last part. This is the most exciting. Not only can a well-fashioned lifestyle experience be enjoyed, here's the powerful part. It can be invested. It can be invested. Because here's what really happens. You take lifestyle, all those values, all the coin, all the currency of lifestyle, and you invest it. This feeling here helps you to now, drives you to do the better study. Why? This whole cycle keeps coming around. Philosophy, attitude, disciplines create lifestyle. Lifestyle inspires you to go back, develop an even better philosophy, stronger attitude, more detailed disciplines. All of that helps you to produce lifestyle. And if you fashion this well, love affair, marriage, culture, evening, weekend, all of this good stuff now, that inspires you now to read, study and grow, develop your philosophy, strengthen your attitude, pick up the disciplines. This whole cycle, I'm telling you, there's nothing like it once you understand how to live this way.
You know, bad times. But I don't have bad days anymore, and it's not BS. It's because I've trained myself like an athlete to go in these peak states so often that they're just natural for me. It's like building a muscle. So it's not like I'm so smart or I'm just so positive. It's just like, why would I waste my time stressing out? I have a 90-second rule. I'll stress for 90 seconds, but stress is not going to solve it. Let me put myself back in a different state. And so the way I do that is I use my body. Because I've done this with athletes for decades, with billionaire businessmen. If you see somebody gets in a slump of some sort, great athlete, Paul Tudor Jones, one of the greatest financial traders in the history of the world, you know, I've coached him for 22 years. When I came to see him, this is a man who made 200% in 1987 when the stock market had its biggest single crash in the day, percentage-wise still. He made 200% for his clients, more money than anybody could dream of. Then he went to the moon and he went down to earth and then he lost money. So I was brought in to turn him around. Well, how do you turn a guy like that around? Yeah. I watched him. His shoulders were down. He was breathing like this. He's sitting like this all the time because he'd been through these failures and it started to get stored in his body. Now, in this state, this man is a genius, couldn't do it. So I watched films when he was at his best and he's like standing up and he's doing this. He's this going to do, sell this, make this happen. And the movement, the intensity, the way he used his face. And so I showed him a video of himself today. I showed him a video when he was at his best. And I said, what do you notice? He was like, those are two different people. I said, yes. But we can get back to this guy by just using the body first. Trying to use your mind, you'll go in circles. But I've been teaching for years that a radical change in your body instantly changes your biochemistry. 38 years I've taught it. 2 years ago at Harvard, they did a study, scientifically proven what I've been teaching all these decades, where they call it power posture.
Yeah, the Wonder Woman stance.
Yeah, standing like Wonder Woman or Superman for 2 minutes.
Yep.
Or like you see a guy that's like this, pulled back like that for 2 minutes. Literally increases your testosterone in your biochemistry within 2 minutes by 20%. It drops cortisol by 18%, which is the stress hormone, and increases your chance of taking a more risky behavior, which is what's required of a leader, by 33%. 2 minutes. Now that's just standing a certain way. I show people use their voice, their body, their movement, which is 10 times more dynamic than just a stiff stance. And when you change your state, your mental, emotional state, you change your performance. Haven't you had times when you have can't remember how to spell a difficult word like the or your own email
really
or something
tired,
like that?
can't remember
what
your
it is.
Cousin's name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've had times where you're in the flow where after you do something, you're like, I did that. I don't know how I did it, but I did it.
Absolutely.
I was in the flow. Well, you're the same person. The only difference is state. So training yourself to be in a peak state every day. I mean, you think about a great businessman. Think of a great entertainer like Elton John has been around in rock and roll for what, 40? How many years is it? 40
early
years?
70s, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's mind-boggling, and most people still like some sample of his music. Well, he's got to have days when he gets up to entertain when he thinks, if you make me sing that Daniel song one more time, I'm going postal, right? But he never does. Every single time he's in that same beautiful state. That's not because he's naturally like that. He's trained himself to do that. Like a great athlete trains himself. That's what leaders have to do. The state of the union, the state of the company is the culture. And the culture starts at the head. Whoever that leader is, their state impacts everybody else. So training yourself to be in that peak state is the key to it all. I think ferocity of spirit is critical for everybody, but we all have it. It's like a muscle.
Do we all have it?
Yeah, we do. Courage unused, though, becomes weaker. Determination unused gets smaller. Passion unexpressed gets smaller. It's like any muscle, the more you use it. And he's been using it for years. His son, though, here's the other thing. He had a reason larger than himself. You see the pattern in all the people that have overcome. He wanted to do for his son. At the time, he told me about his worried about all his employees, and he really cares about his people. But here's the secret, though. You have to make that shift where it's no longer an excuse. If you give yourself an excuse, humans will take it. If you're going to take the island, you burn the boats. And he burned the boats and said, I'm going to find the answer. First, he shifted his psychology, came to my business mastery program, and then he got the skills. Because like I said earlier, it's not just confidence. You got to have skill, and he had both, and he found the way. Show them what you did.
Yeah, after that particular business mastery program, again, as Tony says, 80% of it is psychology, and then 20% of it is mechanics or the strategies. Yeah. But unless you get the psychology down, the mechanics don't matter. And I can tell you from that day in November of 2008 where I made that decision that I was not going to fail, and I kissed my lady and said, I'm going back to work. And we went out there and I learned how to export. And when there was no market for steel in the United States, I was able to export to several different companies or several different countries. And we took off from there. We continued to grow. And it was just, again, it's about a mindset. It's about having a level of pride. For me, it was coming from where I come from. The Melio name didn't mean a whole heck of a lot. And I was determined to change that because it's something of what I call generational influence. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for my son.
The other thing you should do if you're not very industrious is discipline yourself. And so what do you do with that? Eat 3 times a day at regular meal times. That's a good thing to practice because that starts to put some stability into your life. Get up at the same time. I would highly recommend all those young people out there who are listening, you want to get a jump on life, get the hell out of bed in the morning. As I've got older, I've got up earlier and earlier. Now, that's partly because you don't need as much sleep, but it's also partly because I've got more and more disciplined. Get up early in the morning and get your things done. Man, learn to get up at 6 in the morning and you'll be one deadly creature, especially if you can get to work. You'll have half your damn day done by the time other people haul their sorry asses out of bed.
How many of you feel like your mind is always on? Like you're worrying about the past or you're anxious about the future? How many of you feel like your mind controls you? If you said yes to any of those questions, I want you to stay tuned as I share this concept from my book, Think Like a Monk. Hey everyone, my name is Shetty and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now I know you've experienced this. You wake up in the morning, ready to start the day early, but your mind makes you press that snooze button. You decide you're going to be really, really healthy, but your mind makes you break that promise and then makes you feel guilty for it afterwards. Or the best yet, your mind has focused on preparing for this interview, but reminds you of all of your flaws, mistakes, and rejections just before you walk inside. How many of you have experienced any of these things before? So let me tell you a personal story. I remember once trying to give up chocolate fudge cake. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but for those of you who know me well, you know that I have a massive sweet tooth and I absolutely love chocolate cake. So this was already going to be difficult. But now, as soon as I'd made that commitment, Every time I walked past a bakery or a cake shop, I literally felt like that cake was staring at me, and there was a voice in my head that said, buy me now, eat me. I mean, I know I sound psycho right now, but it's true, right? We have that feeling as soon as you make that commitment to yourself that you're going to have a healthy diet, you're going to start working out, whatever it may be, we're triggered almost in the opposite direction by our own mind. How does that happen? Why does it happen? And how do we overcome it is what I want to share with you today. To explain this, we first have to understand the difference between the monkey mind, which we're talking about right now, and the monk mind. So the monkey mind is always jumping from branch to branch. It's always looking for the next pleasure or that instant gratification. It's always looking for the short-term win. It's the part of us that complains, compares, and criticizes. But the monk mind is focused on the root of the issue. The monk mind is focused on discipline and long-term gain. Instead of being comparing, complaining, and criticizing, the monk mind is calm, composed, collaborative, caring, and compassionate. So if we want to make that transformation and that switch, we have to understand how the mind works. And I'm going to show you how the Bhagavad Gita talks about this conversation that we all experience in our minds between the mind and the intelligence. Now, how many times have you ever woke up in the morning and had that conversation in your head? There's one voice that says, go back to sleep. You've had a really tough week. You've been working so hard. And there's another voice that says, this is going to be the start of a great week. You've had enough rest. Now's the time to get up and you're going to perform at the highest level. This is a conversation between the mind and the intelligence. The mind is the monkey mind. The intelligence is the monk mind. The monkey mind just wants to sleep, be lazy, lethargic, and not focus on getting proper rest. You probably were forced by that monkey mind to stay up the night before and watch a show till 2 a.m. anyway. The monk mind wants you to have a proactive start to the day, proactive start to the week. So here's what's happening. We have 5 senses: sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing. Now, all of these have different triggers. So if we think about food, you see good food, right? Or let's say you see junk food, you smell that junk food, you know what that junk food tastes like. You don't hear junk food, I don't think anyway. And as soon as that happens, there's a response that goes straight to your mind. Now, what happens in your mind, and as you can see, this is a very accurate drawing of what your mind really looks like inside. But this area of your mind, it reminds you of your past experiences you've had. So when you see those fries, you smell those fries, you see those fries, you touch those fries, it sends a response to your mind. Your mind knows what those fries taste like. It remembers the last time you had them and how good they felt, and straight away goes, yeah, let's have them. And so the mind goes, sure, let's go and plan and create, and now we have those. Now we start to eat that. And that is a recurring habit and cycle in our life. It happens from everything from food that's bad for us to toxic relationships through to making bad career decisions. The simple act of reminding ourselves of a positive experience with someone or something allows us to continue that repetition. But now we all know this. We all know that discipline is a core pillar in success. We all know that being able to resist the urges of the mind can help us be more focused.